All right, folks, this is a regular scheduled meeting of the Garden School District Board of Directors. We'll now call the meeting to order. Madam Cassie, can you establish we have a quorum present? All right, with a quorum present, we'll be able to conduct business. Robbie, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? No, sorry, hold on. Brother Andrew, can you lead us in a word of prayer first?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this privilege to be a part of this school district and this community. I pray that you would guide the decisions of this board and everything that is said and done in this meeting tonight. May it give glory to you. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We'll stand and we'll recite the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got our special recognitions.
Okay. We now have a special recognition that we'd like to.
And you get a full house. We know with Learns, a lot of stuff changed, and the way that they set it up was to reward teachers for specific goals and achievements. As they continue to squeeze that top bar, at one point it was the teachers with the top 25% of growth scores in the state were getting the bonus. That has been squeezed down to the top 0.5%. So getting that achievement is hard, but they do have some other achievements that they are rewarding. And we do have a teacher in our district that did receive merit pay this year. And what she had to do was to have 3 years of consistent growth and be teaching in a shortage area. And we know we've got lots of shortage areas. So we wanted to make sure and recognize Ms. Terry Dillard for her achievement.
We added a section for public comments and we welcome public comments, but under this particular scenario, we can't talk about anything about personnel or anything that we're going to be discussing in executive session. We can only take comments for other items that are on the agenda. Don?
I can't talk about what, we saying.
Well, and that's within the parameters of the law when they set up the public comment. So that's what.
Well, that said, we do have a personnel matter, so we'll now enter an executive session. We'll ask y'all to retire and come back and we'll stay in here. We now through our executive session, we'll now call the meeting back into order. We need to consider the action item that we discussed in the executive session, move on that.
So I make a recommendation that we change the routes and the salaries for Victor Riley and Miss Sharon Gill. They will take effect on 8/25/25.
All right, we have a motion.
Thank you much.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, the same sign. That motion passed.
I move to place Kyle Jackson on administrative leave for 10 days pending further investigation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, the same sign. That motion passed. All right, moving on, we now have approval of minutes we need to discuss. Make a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from the July 22nd, 2025 board meeting.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed. All right, the next item is our financial report. Rhonda, can you fill us in on that?
You want to let Jason go?
Hey,
You- I know you've been waiting for a minute, Jason, so we'll let you go.
No, it's good to be back with you. For those that may not remember me, my name is Jason Volskov. I'm with Stevens. I serve as the financial advisor to the district related to your financial issues and your debt. So when we did the millage campaign a couple of years back, we had structured your debt in a certain way so we could come back and maybe do projects in the future. As part of our services, what we do is provide different types of training. And so what we're going to be able to give you is some training hours this evening. And so I circulated a form for you to sign. I put together quite a bit of information for you, but for tonight's purposes, the reason I'm here is just kind of give you an update, kind of where we are in terms of the financial position of the district, and answer any questions or address anything that you guys may want to discuss tonight. So the booklet that you have before you has several tabs. I'm going to skip through the first one. The first tab is just a finance 101. I'd encourage you, if you would, take a few minutes and just read through that at some point, especially those who are relatively new on the board. Just kind of give you a sense of how the different funding categories work and where the funding amounts come from. But under tab 2, what you'll find is what we refer to as a financial analysis. This financial analysis breaks down some historical trends related to the financial position of the district. So if you will, I'm going to walk through this really briefly, but just want to touch on a few highlights, and then feel free to stop me if you have any particular questions about any of this information. On page 1, you'll see your assessment history for the district. You'll see it ranges from the assessment years of 2020 to 2024. As you know, under Arkansas law, you have what's referred to as the assessed valuation on real and personal property, as well as particular utilities category. And you'll see over the district in 2020, the total assessed value was 66.8 million. It has risen up to 77.8 million. What I'd like to point out to you is from 2024, you'll see it has declined slightly from 81 to 77. If you look at this, if you go to the next page and you look at kind of what 1 mil brings in, the calculation for that is right there in the middle. What is a mil and how is that calculated? But you can see based on the current assessed value, 1 mil generates approximately $73,000 per mil. So you're getting funding from other different categories from the state, or in terms of your the personal tax money that's coming from people within the district. You'll see that approximately 1 mil is generating $73,000. You'll see at the top there, your mill for the district. Under state law, the district has 25 maintenance and operation bills. Those are guaranteed at 98% collection rate. And then you have 18 debt service mills, which were approved when we did the millage election a couple of years back, for a total of 43 mills. To put that in perspective, the state average is approximately 39 mills. You'll see 39.25 mills. So you guys are a little bit above the state average, but to again put it in perspective, the highest millage rate in the state is 54 mills. So you're kind of, more closer to the state average than not. There's some comparison data there just to give you a sense of how you compare to other school districts in those different categories. And if you take a minute, you can kind of look and see what that looks like. Rough math, though, if you take the assessed value of each of those districts at 100% collection rate, you can look at those and say on the third table there on page 3, or the second table there, you'll see that, say, for instance, Malvern's assessed value for 2024 was at $288 million. So they have approximately $288,000 per mill. So that kind of just gives this sense of how you compare to other districts. Page 4 is your average daily membership. If you were to go back and spend some time in the first tab, there's a whole section on what we call foundation funding. Foundation funding is a calculation. You as a school district, as you know, there is a certain dollar amount assigned to each student that attends school, and that's part of your funding calculation. That funding formula is based on the third quarter average daily membership number. And for this past school year, which is what the number would be going forward, you have approximately 550 students here. And so that's calculated into the foundation amount. I'm going to jump forward a little bit. There's some information there on the audited financials. On page 6, you'll see the debt outstanding as of the end of this calendar year. You currently have 2 bond issues that are outstanding. One was done in 2019, and then the one that we did for the millage in August of 2023. All in all, the district has outstanding of approximately $8.9 million. When you divide that into your assessed value, the debt ratio is approximately 11.4%. Again, the state average is about 9%, so you're very close in terms of where the state average is. We would also always expect that the district would have some debt associated with projects that you have outstanding. Most, as you know, you guys have buildings and needs that you needed to finance over the course of the years. And so again, most districts or all districts have some debt that would be associated with that. Page 7 shows you what your payments currently are on that bonded debt service, and you'll see it's about or $500,000 a year going out to 2058. 2058 is important for those that were on the board and for those that were involved with the millage campaign. As you remember, we did a repayment term of 35 years. And we did that intentionally, if you recall, so we can come back and finance future improvements and give you the ability to do that. So normally we do a 30-year financing, but we did this strategically by extending it out another 5 years, which the voters approved. And so that's why that payment goes out as far as it does. In terms of affordability, I want to go to page 9. Page 9 shows you very simple table, but shows you how much revenue is coming off of your debt service mills. You have approximately $1.3 million coming off the debt service mills, and you have a payment of about $500,000, as I've already shown you. That is quite a bit more than what the bonded debt service payment is, but again, keep in mind that was done intentionally to give you the ability to borrow in the future once you start working on your new project. So the voters have already authorized you to do that, and so that's why that coverage revenue, or what we refer to as surplus debt service revenue, is as high as it is, because it gives you the ability to borrow in the future as the plans come together. Let me stop there and see if you have any questions so far. I'm throwing quite a bit at you, so.
Well, Jason,
Yeah.
I got a question.
Sure.
Out of everything that we did in the last 4 years, do you still feel we've made prudent, sound decisions? You know,
I haven't been involved in how, obviously, the different projects have taken place and all. I can tell you that currently you have plenty of revenue coming in to cover your payments in terms of the debt service piece. What I think you'll have to be, the landscape has changed quite a bit since we did the millage related to other funding sources and different trends. So I think you just have to be mindful of those going forward when you start planning for future projects.
what if we lost 50 more kids?
That wouldn't be great. The reason why is, as you know, is that every student is equates to about $8,000. And so when those students leave, you lose those monies, which then means the money has to come from somewhere else, which means more than likely would have to come from this surplus debt service revenue category, which you're already using to run your schools and what have you.
With this ability to borrow, could we make adjustments if it become just necessary?
That's correct. What I would caution you on is not launching into a large capital improvement program of some kind in terms of future projects without a sound plan, taking into account the fact that some of these revenues may be needed for operational reasons. That surplus revenue is not restricted, so it can be used for any permissible school purpose. So again, it'll come down, you have plenty of capacity on paper to do certain things, but it's an affordability question. It's just like all our personal finances. You can go to the bank and, the bank can tell you, well, yeah, you could borrow the money to buy that house, but can you put furniture in that house? And so it's the same conversation here. Can you afford to have the things that you may or may not want, if that makes sense? So
When you say large, give me a number. What's a large number to you? All these numbers look large to me.
well, it is large, but to put it in perspective, right now, if you did a 30-year financing, $1 million would cost you about $75,000 each. So again, if you kind of do the math on that, you're probably looking somewhere between $4 and $5 million, and that would eat into this pretty significantly.
We had this discussion, Rhonda and I had this discussion with him before any of the rest of this stuff.
Yes.
So I think you just need to be, not saying you can't do it, but just be mindful of what you're saying.
Sure.
What we could do and help you do as you start to plan is kind of what we refer to as kind of stress test and figure out, okay, if you were to lose 50 kids, what impact would that have, and how would that impact your potential to do this? Because we don't want to put you obviously in a financial position where you'll fail.
Thanks.
Just some more information in the back there, just some different options for you. kind of looking at this as it relates to what your borrowing power is. Like I said, you guys have the ability to borrow quite a bit of money. But I would be cautious. I would caution you in terms of just thinking about those different factors and what that looks like. Any questions about that? I want to be mindful of your time because I know you've already had a long meeting. So I'm happy to answer any other questions you have about the information here. The next tab behind that is what we refer to as a revenue projection. That's a little bit stale. We provide that to your administration. So there's tweaks that have been made to that, but just want you to be aware. One of the reasons why we're seeing a little bit, what I would refer to your finances as being flat, but a little bit south of the line has to do with the assessed value dropping slightly. So you're not getting as much off of your assessed value and your mills as you had prior years. And so that's what that's accounting for. So, but as you move forward, obviously, just please let me know what you need. I'm happy to come back and we can have further conversations about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Rhonda.
Last month I was the bearer of terrible news, so this month the news is a little better. They have released those funds. We got our preliminary allocations for Title II and Title IV. That originally because we was up in the air that we may not be getting them at all. And so they have released those preliminary allocations, so we'll be able to use those when we're budgeting. Overall, our federal funds from our final allocation last year to the preliminary, and those preliminaries will change during the year at some point, is down about $5,000. So that's a whole lot better than that $50,000 number we were looking at last month.
So Rhonda, did we find out any difference about the bus transportation money that we were down 53,000 on?
I have not heard any of
Mm-mm.
that.
So the state never told us what the formula was. No, the Department of Ed said it was BLR that made that and nobody knows what the formula was.
Well, and if they were, again, we talked about if they were basing it on the numbers of the 2 previous years when we had ESSER funds that we were able to buy new transportation that didn't require the amount of maintenance that was required this year, because this year we went over what we had previously gotten. If they used that for it, then it was a flawed
There's-
formula in the first place.
Any more questions, Rhonda? You don't want to move?
Make a motion that we approve the finance report for July 2025.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed.
Now y'all need a secretary. Because we have so many things that are not signed. We need a secretary.
I think that works.
Next time, we got several items on the consent agenda. Starting with the board secretary appointment, we need to handle that. Any one of y'all,
Well, I nominate Cassie. If she will accept the nomination.
I second the motion.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, the same sign. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations. Now we're back to Rhonda.
Yeah, building fund transfer.
Mhm.
I didn't put an amount in your board packet because I'm still kind of been looking at numbers and trying to make sure I've not missed anything. What I'd like to do is transfer $125,000 into the building fund. That still leaves our legal balance above what it was last year, but kind of keeps it a little closer. One of the things that we do want to think about is the fact that we did not have to pay insurance on 24-25 school year, and that's about the amount, so we would have really been cutting it close, like right at that edge, but right now, I'd like to, you know, authorize us to transfer $125,000 from general fund to building.
Rhonda, once that money moves over, is it able to be moved back?
It is not able to be moved back, but the way legal balance is wherever we're at, we need to maintain that. So the more we build, just the more we have to keep maintaining. This will move it back into building fund and for future projects.
Do you see any issue? I guess if you're recommending it, you don't see it being an issue. With our funds dropping where they need to be.
Well, I wanna keep our funds up to a certain level. I don't wanna get our funds so that we're not, but legal balance wise, we need to stay at where we're at. So the more we grow, the more
We
we
need
have
to
to
move it.
maintain. When I go to do the budget, like wherever I'm at now, I have to have budget within that amount. Like I can't drop below. So even if we maintain a higher legal balance, we still have to budget so that we end the year higher than that.
I make a motion to transfer the 125,000 to the building fund.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, the same sign. That motion passed. Next is policy update.
And these are the ones that you had first reading on last time around, and we did go in and make the change. That's why we included that one to include the Pee Wee coaches for as far as the volunteer qualifications. Yeah, you can make a blanket on those.
I make a motion that we approve the policy updates as listed.
Okay, we have a motion. We got a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed. Next item is property insurance.
Yes, it is fine.
Deductible increased by 5 times, is that correct?
Mm-hmm,
25,000,
mm-hmm,
but the rates are.
The same.
mm-hmm.
That was
What's
the only,
happened?
that was the only choice we had.
I
Yeah,
didn't
this-
have insurance has happened personally too, so.
Well,
We
this is
understand.
the state captive insurance. We
Yes,
don't,
okay.
we no longer have an
ASBA
option.
doesn't-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some school districts saw significant rate increases. Some of them saw really significant deductibles. Ours actually wasn't one of the highest deductibles.
50,000.
25,000 is our deductible. It went from 5 to 25, yeah,
The last time we utilized that.
last year.
Just the 5,000, we got all new roofs and.
And the scoreboard, when it got knocked over by the wind, that's what paid for that
It's like
too.
3 million. What was our rate? What was our rate?
Oh, I don't remember what the roof was. That was before.
Seemed
my-
like it was about 4.5 million.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Did that affect us on that deductible or that statewide? It went up?
Happened to do it.
Some schools, like I said, some schools, their deductible jumped to 50. So,
So do we need to make a motion to accept it?
yeah, we have to have it in there.
Do anything else. It's-
Right.
we have to do anything.
Right, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah,
Well, I make the motion to accept this property insurance proposal and to deduct it by ACH.
Okay, we have a motion and a,
Just ask a question.
okay, hold on.
Rhonda, is this paid all at one time or is it paid through the year installments?
All at one time.
All right, can we start that motion again?
Sorry.
Yes, can you read?
Oh, yes.
Present that motion.
I say I make the motion to accept this property insurance proposal and to deduct this from ACH.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed. Next item is our nurse policy on choking.
yes, and Wendy stayed around this time instead of leaving me to explain her policy.
We recognized the gap that we noticed in our nursing policy. We did not have a policy regarding the treatment of choking. This sample policy was provided to us by Sharia McDonald, who's the state school nurse consultant. It's a pretty typical policy. If there's a choking incident, you will have 3 attempts at the Heimlich or another age appropriate,
Maneuver.
treatment. Yeah, that's a good nursing treatment. And then it also allows us to use the life back device, which is a secondary treatment that you can use to treat choking if the Heimlich does not work.
How many of those are on campus?
I think we have 2 right now. Mark and Holly Bratton just donated one to us, so we would need 1 more. And they're under $100.
Are those located in your office or where are they located in?
Cafeteria.
Cafeteria? Has there been any training school wise on those? I mean, if you're not there, does a cafeteria lady know how to utilize it or
She
something?
will. Mhm.
How many personnel do you anticipate will be trained with any of, with anything within this part?
think that next year we would introduce that in your first aid. And then at the beginning of the year, we do stop the bleed and seizure. So we could do it during that and just train everybody across the district with it.
Because we have quite a few that are CPR
Yeah.
trained already,
Yeah.
but doing that as part of the Stop the Bleed, that would cover everyone.
What's the chances of getting them in like the student center still out there, or the primary school or anything like that?
We can do that. Most of the time, the Heimlich is gonna be the
Agreed.
procedure that works. There are some students that, because of various medical issues, the Heimlich cannot be used, and so they have an individualized healthcare plan that would allow us to use the LifeVac instead of the Heimlich. But it's a cost-effective kind of backup plan for if the Heimlich doesn't work, we've called 911. It's gonna take the ambulance however long to get here. We want to have that second option for treatment
Yeah,
before
but
we
yeah.
start CPR.
What's the cost price on them?
They're less than $100.
Any more questions? You want to move on that item?
I make a motion that we, accept this nursing policy on choking and add it to our policy manual.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed. And the next item is on retiring assets.
Yes. Victor, you want to go just kind of give them a breakdown of the assets, or Jerusha can, it's up to you. Yeah.
So, in most of the classrooms we have, those all projector smart boards, they were probably what, 15 years old, some of them.
Mhm.
So we decided to go ahead and take those down and replace them with new smart panels like this on wheels. That way they're more manageable in the classroom. But we need to dispose of them. They're not any good. I mean, we can't even get parts for them now.
And anything that's inventoried that has the inventory sticker has to be rotated off and approved for rotation.
None of those are up to par to like be sold for revenue or anything, Victor?
Now, the biggest thing is finding parts for it. So years ago, we actually started replacing the projectors with aftermarket projectors because the company wouldn't even sell you them anymore because this is what they went to. This is actually the same brand. And then the pins would go out because they have pins. Once the pins and the sensors behind the ports went out, then there's no really replacement part for it. Some of the school districts were actually donated them to other school districts to kind of just fix the old ones, but I mean, everybody's getting rid of them by now.
And it's gotten to the point that the
Yeah.
bulbs for the projectors are
Correct.
as expensive as the projectors
Yeah, the
themselves.
projectors that we're buying, they're about $1,000 now as well, so, yeah.
I'll make a motion to retire these assets. As proposed.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed.
Okay, the Technology Student Association, this kind of goes along with some of the new H2 pathway stuff, and Ms. Hart can tell you.
We currently have, the SBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, group in our school district. But we are proposing to do away with the FBLA and to adopt the TSA, which is, more closely based and aligned to the new H2 pathways that deals with the STEM programs and technology programs that the H2 pathways, are, catering to. And it also gives our students, more practice and accountability in those courses, in those H2 pathway courses.
So it's the affiliated club that goes along with what Coach Collins is doing now in those classes that he's doing with the software development and the computer programming, all of that, that goes along with that. With the H2 pathways, when we have those new programs like with the Intro to Education, we'll be moving towards Educators Rising. So they all have an affiliated club that goes along with them.
So I have been with FBLA before to the field trips and stuff. Will they have similar functions, different location? I know we used to go to Conway.
Yes, they will have, regional and state conventions and national conventions that they will be able to go and participate and compete in. And do the same things as FBLA.
Just
but
geared
with
towards
some more
those.
STEM focus.
Okay.
Is FBA gonna continue to exist?
No,
Everything's turning to TSA.
That's the question I should have.
Well, it's the programs of study that go along with FBLA that had no students in them to the point that,
Just a broader scope.
yes.
Yeah.
Any kind of checking account or anything that we need to retitle or
Yeah, we will
will that all?
flip those with
Okay.
FBLA.
I make a motion that we replace our FBLA program with TSA as the school's official business technology student organization.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed. All right,
Okay. The updated building plan. All right, so on your action item, you will notice this, and we've had this discussion. We've been discussing this. A plan was previously submitted for board approval for that it was K1, K2, whatever you want to call it. It was submitted at some point. Rhonda and I are still trying to figure out exactly which administration, due to the fact that there have been so many recently, submitted the actual plan. The plan that was submitted for partnership funds and was approved but has not been funded would have cost us, as far as district funds, about $7 million. We don't have that. And trying to get that is going to put into that money that Jason was talking about that we have set aside that we can use for operating. We wouldn't have that if we were trying to use that. So we went back to the drawing board and tried to figure out how we could effectively get our students all onto this campus, because when we asked for that millage, that was the promise that we made, was getting everybody out here. So what French Architects came up with for us was the plan that I included there. And that would give us 6 classrooms, and that would give us kindergarten classrooms, first grade, and potentially second grade, depending on how the structure is going to be set up. And we know that with the new build, the state requires us to have the safe room, but they also are not going to give us any money for a safe room. And the plan that they developed actually incorporates classrooms as the safe room. So some of the things that you have to have in kindergarten classrooms, you also have to have in safe rooms. So the kindergarten classrooms would be constructed to operate also as the safe rooms and have the things that are needed for the safe rooms. French worked with some construction managers that they had, and the plan that they came up with would be approximately $3.3 million for us to construct that. Rhonda, with what we have in our bond fund and our building fund, where would we stand on that? We've had these discussions. I've had to learn more with the numbers with Rhonda. About 3.6.
Something like that.
Yeah, because we've got the 2.6 in the bond fund, and then we have
Now we're at 3.697 and we're going to transfer $125,000.
so that would put it within our range of affordability. So that would give us that opportunity to get our K-6 kids out here. And the first step, of course, is releasing French Architects so that they can actually make the fleshed out plan that has all of the plans that they are going to need for this build. So that's what I'm asking tonight, is that we allow French Architects to begin to develop those plans so that then we can take the next step. And that's going to get us where we need to be to have all of our kids out here for K-6 and for K-12.
Will French Architect, will they work on the demo of that, or will that be another?
That will be another, yes. The demo of the old building, that will be a separate thing, but all we would have to do is put out our own bids to have the demo done.
Did we notify French Architect that we have 3.6 million?
We gave them a budget and they worked with that budget. That's what they
The
did.
issue that I keep coming up with, and this is the new number I come up with, is that the 3.3 is $351 a square foot.
Mhm.
The national average is 239. The metro national average, big cities, is only 320. In Girton, Arkansas, southern Arkansas, we're now $30 above the metro national average. How are we so high above that with the?
Because of all of the things that have to be included in that build, because schools require certain things, and that's what puts us up a little bit above on that commercial square
Wouldn't that make
footage.
the national average up if they're requiring it?
Well, they don't have the same requirements state to state. Every state has its own requirements. And this is really the numbers that they used, they were very generous and they tried to be as open as they could be with what it was going to cost.
So
Because we've had a few projects that have been bid out to us before that by the time we paid the bill was way more than what they were bid out to
And
us
that's where
for.
we're at with the bid of 3.3, you gotta leave 10% in there for the overages that illegal.
And they're working on all of the soft numbers as well. They are working these numbers.
I just can't see how in Garrett, Arkansas, we're that much higher than than a metro average, not even a national average.
I think a lot of it is because we are so rural, we don't have access to some of those bigger contractors that would make it more competitive in the bidding process.
So in your mind, coming out of that, the elementary that we have, would it be like if you were facing that from, say, the football field or that parking lot, or are you talking like on the right-hand side or the left-hand side of coming out to the back? Because I feel like there is going to be a significant amount of dirt work rocking around.
What they have come up with, and this is what I can show you. There were two plans, one for the end of the building that would be towards the highway and one for right behind the building next to the sidewalk. The reason this does not work, and Kendall can back me up on this, is all of our utility lines are running over here. This is the space where there would be the least amount of dirt work required. We wouldn't have to worry as much about building the sidewalks and the awnings and all of those additional things. That's going to be the ideal location. They came over, Kendall and Scott.
You put everything, try to fix on the west side, you're gonna have to move 3 things. And that's gonna be a lot of money. The water's running there, that's no big deal. If you go to the end of the building,
Right out.
then you get into.
When you're
your
going
right
up
to
the
put in a lift
sidewalk to the
station
back of Cave, right
for
there.
sewage.
This is.
Well, then when you do
Yeah.
that, you gotta get somebody certified and licensed to be able to run the lift station. So that end on the east side is gonna be the best bet for everything to work out.
Well, they're closer to the cafeteria
Mhm.
And they're closer to the
And
fence
already
there,
within the
closer to
fence that we
playground.
have constructed.
So my question is now French architects they're making those.
Mhm.
So they would not be the contractor.
No, we would have to go through the whole process of a
Right.
construction manager who would then go through and hire the contractors and all that.
Our experience with dirt work and overruns.
Well,
We have to-
That all goes back to the construction manager that you hire.
Safe rooms are kind of a thing of the now, everything getting built with them. So what's making these? I'm not understanding what's making them so much higher.
What, the safe rooms?
No, I mean, what do they have to make this building so much higher per square foot than what everybody else is
The
building?
way they're ventilated, the HVAC systems,
But this is-
everything's totally different.
But that would change the whole national average in Arkansas and the nation. Why is it different in Garden, Arkansas? Our area is no different than anybody else's.
I can't answer that.
Exactly. That's what I need answered. Why are we building one of the most expensive schools around?
We're not.
Well,
I can
agree-
tell you that
I
right
agree.
now. We are absolutely
For
not.
what we're getting 9,400 square foot, that seems like a lot for a lot.
When you look at what, again, the building that they had designed was a $16 million building.
Right. Well,
That didn't include the safe room.
We could get as expensive as you want.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I
that,
agree with
again, that didn't include the safe room. The safe room was still gonna have to be built separately, and we were gonna have to foot the bill for every bit of that. Because again, they were going to, they require you to build the safe room that will meet the capacity of whatever the classrooms will hold. And this is where it doesn't make any sense, but this is just how it is. If a classroom will hold 42 kids, even though you cannot have 42 kids in the classroom, that safe room is going to have to accommodate however many classrooms you have that would accommodate 42 kids. They're going to require you to have a certain amount of square footage, even though you're never going to have that many kids in that classroom, but they may have to require you to have square footage depending on the grade that might accommodate 42 kids. It's the same thing with the gym. You have to accommodate, like for your whole campus, even though your whole campus is probably not going to be taking PE at the same time. It's all the way that they require you to build certain things.
No, I agree with that. I'm just not seeing where these numbers are coming from. I
Some-
mean, I've done a lot of research on this week and I've not seen no numbers like this anywhere. That's why, this is the first time that somebody told me they have to be this way. And I can't find it nowhere, talking to contractors or on the internet where anybody but a 9,400 square feet for $351 a square foot. And all the research I've done, nobody's that high.
So their thing is really just building our plans, and then at that point, we get to talk to contractors. They do
Mhm.
get a standard 7 to 10%. That's,
5 to 10.
okay, that's the
Mhm.
standard of the architect cost.
So really the
Well, not only
cost,
that, but their plans are freedom of information, so every contractor that puts a bid on this can see the architect's bid and, or, this $3.3 million.
That's not the architect's budget. That's a budget that they got from construction managers they work with. They don't come up with their own budget for that because they wanted a realistic budget. That's why they went to a construction manager and got them to come up with the numbers.
What's the cost for them to fully develop a plan?
That soft cost. And I can tell you because I got that. All right, the architectural fees are at 6%, Cassie. And then civil fees, which are topographic survey, design phases, permitting and construction administration, you're looking at $246,000
And
for
that's-
all of the things that they come up with.
It's, refresh my memory, is French Architect, are they the ones that did the air conditioning system for the gym?
They didn't do the air conditioning system for the gym. They came up with the plan that was going to be needed to do the air conditioning system for the gym.
So they came up with a plan to install the air conditioning system.
For what the gym would need is what they came up with. But they had nothing to do with the install.
Sure. It's not.
That was
I guess.
that was the hire from the construction manager.
Yeah. I guess my first thought, which I'm in favor of letting them develop the plans, but my first thought with French Architect is, somebody else had to come behind them and put gutters on that building because somebody didn't plan that out. Am I assuming that they're the ones that didn't plan that out?
Now that I don't know about.
No, they had nothing to do, all they done was done the HVAC planning, what it needed.
They didn't take into
To
consideration.
function. They had
No, that-
nothing to do with guttering or anything, that was a construction manager.
Well, I guess my question should be, should they have been thoughtful of that when they did that plan?
You would think.
I mean, that's what I would think, but I don't know if I'm expecting too much here. As far as the safe room, so it's
Mhm.
K-6 safe room, is that correct?
That will fit K-6, yes.
And that's 1,000 square foot classrooms
Mhm.
for that. And so that red line is where the safe room, the
Mhm.
building of the safe room, that's where it is.
Yes.
The other four will be 850 square feet apiece.
And so as far as the safe room is concerned, where's that picture at that you had? So if they put the safe room, or if they put that building there, it's gonna be oriented this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is there going to be a covered or enclosed area? So that, let's say you have a safe room and let's say you have a storm, how do you get these students from in here into there safely? Is there a plan for that?
That will be connected to the back where the sidewalk is.
Be like
Then
enclosed?
sidewalk and on,
Will that be enclosed or anything?
I don't know about enclosed, but it'll be covered.
you saying that it backs up to this already existing
Yes.
line?
Yes,
And then-
yes, they're just gonna extend and move 4 more concrete.
Where are the exits on that building at?
Should be in the other end.
Shows on both
Where
ends.
that building plan is there in the back, there is an exit that comes straight out to that.
Here?
Mm-hmm.
So so, sorry, I'm just thinking. So if you had a storm and you've got a safe room, we obviously would want them to take into consideration how efficiently and quickly you can get
Mhm.
students from spot A to spot B.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be able to walk out the east side rear entrance of CES and straight in to the new building, to the safe room.
And I'm assuming there would be more than one exit to get there. You wouldn't want to funnel all the kids through one door.
Yeah, because they could still go out on the opposite, on the other end of that building. There's another door there that's covered as well. That was part of another reason to put it in that location because the sidewalk there already has a cover on it, so everything's covered. There wouldn't be any need to extend an awning.
And so I would assume that their plans would include any additional sidewalks, awnings that would need to be
Once they,
added to that.
yes, once they get an actual plan going, yes.
More questions?
The K or says support spaces.
Kindergarten restrooms.
I think really the big deal is we want to make sure that on these estimates,
There's a blue.
Yeah, there are going to be group restrooms in between the other 4 classrooms out there. Boys on one side and and girls on the other side. You have to have a standalone bathroom for
kindergarten.
kindergarten has to have a standalone bathroom.
So, back to your question, so I'll go, because I'm with you, I did the same, $372 square foot. So if you take out their, so civil would be all their engineers, so, and surveys and all that, and then you take out their, plus their 6% fee, that really puts the cost of the building, I'm not saying it's great, but at $314, which is more like commercial build.
That's taken out where we're gonna have to pay them.
No, you would still pay them, but it's their standard fee that we are
More like
required to
a
do.
professional
to
fee
add that,
that's-
pay the architect, we just can't draw plans and decide to build, by state. So if you took out their 6% fee and like the civil, engineers fees, if you took out all the engineers fees, and then it puts the building cost down at almost $300 a square foot.
And how much was that total you said?
So the 6% fee was $192,000, and then $192,000 is a 6% fee that would go to French architect, and then that's 6%, and then $54,000 is their civil architect or civil engineers.
And that's not coming out of that 3 point, that's
No,
not,
it would, I mean,
is that part of that?
yes.
Yes,
So-
yes, that's
What
one.
you say,
The
that
grand
three
total.
hundred that you was finding,
Yeah.
that don't include those are professional fees.
Like when a contractor is giving me quotes, they're like, $300 per foot is a commercial bill. It's pretty standard, but they're not. But you have to go plus, like, what is that architect fee? Like if you have to use it, if you were forced to use an architect because of the standards code, then that automatically bumps you up. 6 to 10%, unfortunately, is standard fee.
And I think
I don't know if that makes it a little.
Yeah, that's great, until what if the contract, you said the contract manager giving them numbers, what if he comes back with that 3.3, this is what it's gonna cost to build a school?
Mhm.
And now we're out that money plus the 3.3 million. And then we end up with over budget, now we're over 3.6 million, where's that money come from?
Well, I mean, but definitely I would stop that, but
And
I would.
my
say
goal is
go-
we're still so far above the national average, and I've not got to answer to why, that's what's driving me nuts.
Is there a way to see where other schools have been built and what they built and what price?
You can look, but there's not going to be a whole lot of that size and what we're looking for.
I reached out to Arkadelphia with their new school, and I didn't get the help that I wanted. I was hoping that would help me being a local school that's just being built, because I mean, at the end of the day, square footage, it don't matter how big or small it is, you're still gonna have a square foot price, and you can base that off of. And what did they put in their schools that we're putting in this one or not putting in this one? That there was a why we had to put something in there that made it that high. I get it, but I don't, it's a K through 1 school.
Yeah,
What has
well-
to be there that makes it that high?
Well, your safe room is gonna.
That's
obviously
standard
cost.
these days. Everybody's putting safe rooms in everything, houses, schools.
Well, all these additional restrooms, all that is kind of tied to these young kids. And that's a little,
Kendall, did they, did this, so my understanding is French architect gave us this number, 3.5.
That they received from the construction manager that they were working with.
And did any of those people come down and just take a look? You mentioned the dirt work. They came down and viewed
Mhm.
things, the dirt work and situation.
is there any more questions? Do you want to move on this?
Make a motion that we approve French Architects to develop our plans. And then we'll potentially take bids.
Mhm.
And that's until we can win on the.
Because it's gonna take a while for the plans to come up. Leslie has got to send our plans into the state for approval because even no matter what they come up with, the state still has to approve our plans for a build. This is not an overnight process, but it is important that we get this started because those bond funds that we have got to have 85% spent by next August.
Is it possible in this timeline to do so?
Yes. But again, we have to act expediently on it.
Have any other architects firm been asked about it? And I have nothing, I don't know anything about French, I'm be honest.
French is familiar with us and they are familiar with our campus and they are familiar with what we need. They have worked very closely with us on a lot of things. And they have never failed when I have asked a question to get as much information as they could possibly get me.
Where, that project manager that they use, where's, do you know who that is or where they're out of?
I know where they're out of. I'm not going to tell you who they are because I don't want to skew the process when we're starting to look for these things. They're out of Hot Springs and they have worked on these buildings,
But they're-
these buildings
They're
particularly.
gonna be open to a bid, just like everybody. else.
Mhm. Mhm. Everybody has to have the opportunity.
Send you like their website, go look at some of the stuff that they've done recently.
That one might not be.
I'll send you like their
Okay.
website and you can.
I looked them up this.
Okay.
morning. They do good work. I can't. Not knocking that.
Well, we won't be through the process. This is just kind of step one. We'll
Yes,
still-
the first step is allowing them to make the plans.
I don't feel like these plans are, I mean, I think they're the right size. So that's where you're gonna have.
That's why I kept having to get them to shrink it. That was the biggest problem was getting it down to a small enough size that it was not going to be,
You don't want.
no. And we can't afford to overbuild because we're not going to do anything to put this district in any kind of financial straits. That's the whole point. This is the way to get the promise that we made when then we asked for that millage to get there.
And long term, lower maintenance cost, a
Mhm.
lot of things as we sell the property. And actually insurance, everything in one place and it's built as a new construction issue. So there is a lot. Well, I would second the motion that she made to.
Okay,
Do we begin?
you want to start that process over?
Make a motion to hire French Architect to fully develop plans.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, at the same time. That motion passed. Okay. Next item is our board designee that
Mhm.
can you explain that to everybody?
Yes, because, the state has put us in the position that with board-to-board transfers, our ability to actually deny a board-to-board transfer has been diminished dramatically. And they're happening quicker and they're happening close together and having to wait for the board to meet to accept a board-to-board transfer puts off the process. Other schools, and Arkadelphia has done this, have designated their superintendent as being able to accept and go through the process of that without having to wait for a board meeting.
Makes sense.
I'm okay with that. I just think. Keep it updated on current school, enrollment and things like that would be concerned, but in that, I don't have the. They could be.
Well, that's why I'm
More
including it in
efficient.
my board brief. Make sure you
Yes.
check your emails.
We got email?
All
I'll make a motion to approve, the superintendent to handle overboard transfers.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed.
Now, since you've just done that, we still have two board-to-board transfers that you do have to approve since it's a brand new process. We have one coming into Garden from Arkadelphia. And then we have one who is leaving Garden for Washita, but they're not our student. They've been homeschooled, so they haven't been in our count for the last 2 years. So,
Then we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. That motion passed.
okay, now it's future business.
Okay,
Oh, director's report. Yep. They've got information to share with you. So for the director's report, it's building goals.
Who's gonna talk about that?
It started with K, so we kind of split it up between elementary and primary school because different structures, different data. And so for third through sixth grade at elementary, we looked at the campus as a whole and what percentage of proficiency we had in each tested content area. And so for each of those areas, our goal is to increase the percentage of students scoring proficient by at least 10%. So that's a summary of this. So in science, our goal would be to move from 23 to 33%, in math to 36%, and in literacy to 39%. Of course, we want to shoot higher than that. That's the goal we're going to use to measure. We also have a goal for growth for our students, that we want to see at least 80% of our students showing individual growth, no matter where they're starting at, level 1 or level 4, that we want to see all of them making progress. And we're going to base that from summative to summative. So from April data to April data. So that's elementary. Is there any questions on those?
Is 10%, is that a reasonable for 1 year?
We always hope that it's more than 10%. You know, it would be great if it's 40%, you know.
Sure.
But we want to make sure that it's something that is within the scope of realistic. It is reasonable. It is reachable for sure. So for primary, we don't have our K2 data yet, that from the assessment that they took in April. And so we developed these goals, but they might be revised just depending on what our data shows us. But our goal for math is that we have at least 60% of our students scoring proficient for the math exam, and literacy 60%. That's where we set it. And so just depending on our data, we might revise that. The K2 assessments look a lot different than the 3-6 assessment. And so that's why we put their goals separately. And then for the growth goal, we want all of our K2 students as well. So we listed that there. And we're going to measure progress in K2 for growth from the middle of the year interim, which we're going to take like in January, to the end of the year summative, because the test that primary takes at the beginning of the year is much different than the test they take at the end of the year. So to compare apples to apples, we're measuring from the middle to the end for growth. Any questions on those? And as the year goes, we'll be able to update you on progress towards our goals as well.
And you feel like the test is kind of settled into it, and now you have good.
I do, because the test is created specifically for Arkansas by Arkansas teachers. They designed it based on our Arkansas standards. So I don't feel like it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah,
You know,
worked out all the kinks after last year.
They do. They
Yeah.
tweak it. Yep. They listen to the teachers' feedback, and they were very supportive in that regard, you know. And so they've made adjustments to the test as far as like what questions were kind of off the wall and didn't really assess the skill that they were intended to assess, and also like the structure of the test and the format, with the input from the teachers, considering, you know, our kids in K6, a lot of them are still learning how to test on a computer, so they took that into more consideration. Sir.
For the high school, our goals were somewhat similar, but different in many ways. So our literacy goal was by the end of 25-26 school year, our 7th through 12th grade students scoring level 1 and level 2 will be decreased by 5%. And we looked at this, and we looked at our Atlas scores from this year, and we made some really good gains in both literacy and math. But we wanted to be realistic about it, especially because of the wide scope of grades that we have and the different levels of the rigor in the different levels. So we wanted to make sure that we were realistic by doing this. Currently, through our Atlas testing 24-25 school year for literacy grades 7 through 10,
We had 38 students who scored a level 1, which was 24% of those tested, and those tested was 158 students. Level 2 was 77 students, which was 48%. The combined level 1 and level 2 students was 150 students at 72% of those that were tested. Our target for this year will be for our level 1, 19%. That's a reduction of 5%, which averages out to about 8 students who will no longer be in the level 1, that will move up to level 2 and possibly level 3 or 4. And then level 2 with the reduction of to 43% at or below 43%, which it equals out to about 9 students who would go above their current level. And with a combined of at or below 67%, which is a reduction of the 72%. And we're going to focus on that by continuing to do what we're doing. What we were doing last year is working, and we've seen it in our test scores. So we're going to continue using our HQIM. We've given our teachers more training on their HQIM this year. We are in those classrooms. We're doing our observations. We're supporting our staff through all of their targeted instruction. We have targeted professional development that we've given our staff with specialists that are coming in from the Bailey Group and from the co-op, who are specifically going in that HQIM, breaking down those standards and helping our teachers understand what they need to teach and how they need to increase that rigor, so our students will understand what the test is asking them. We are making sure that our lessons are aligned with grade level standards. So all of our teachers are teaching at grade level. And we are having that scaffolding, which are the small groups that we have that help with intervention for our students who are not quite getting those skills. And we are doing ongoing formative assessments, whether it is quizzes, bell ringers, end of day, exit tickets. Thank you. I had a brain fart. Exit tickets. Any of those things like that will help us to gauge if our students are learning that content or mastering those skills.
So for the math, I mean, our plan is the exact same as far as the implementation, how we're going to go through everything. So of this past year's test score, 114 students were in that level 1 to level 2 range, so 78%. Our goal transitioning into the next year is to decrease that by 5%. So we want to see 73% of our students, love to see more than that, but 73% moving past that level 1 to level 2, trying to push them over into that level 3 area and potentially higher than that. And once we have all the finalized data, once we push into September, potentially October, we break everything down. There'll be a more finite number with everything. But that targeted goal is absolutely attainable. We had so many kids that were so close, 1 or 2 points away. And if you're looking at a 40, 50 question test, it's really just 1, 2 questions before they move over that line. So that's absolutely attainable. And again, supporting our staff, they're going to be using the HQIM in the classroom. All summer, they were in and out with our third-party Bailey Group coming in, working with those HQIM professionals for each content area that hit the professional development, and then lesson plans, everything. It's all aligned to grade level standards. And we're in the classroom. We're there. We have a presence. And whatever our teachers need, what kind of support they need for our students, we're there for. Any questions?
You have any questions?
Oh. Have any future business? Any
Yeah.
questions on that?
No school.
No schools for Labor Day, September 1st. And then our next board meeting is September 23rd.
We need to change that.
No, if we have a special board meeting, we'll announce that later.
All right, if there's no questions, can we move to adjourn? All in favor of that motion, say aye. All in dissent, same sign. We're adjourned.